to say good evening because I'm not used to saying good evening, but good evening, everybody. I like to say a few good evenings. It gives people a chance to get in. Wait a minute, get in, get on, get into the chat room, and start up. Your whatever it is you want to say. This morning, I suggested, because tomorrow is April Fool's Day, just to let you all know. So I suggested that we would love to hear if you have ever pranked anyone else on April Fool's Day, or if someone did a good prank on you. We only want the nice stuff. We don't want the mean things. I told a story this morning about how I did my great April Fool's, the one I can really remember, and Chris told hers as well. So we're waiting for all of you to tell your stories too. Before we go into that, first of all, I'd like to say once again, he's been with me all day. It just seemed very odd to say, and welcome to Grey Eagle, but I just want you to let you know that he is right here. Excuse me, as always, with me doing this. And I'd like to say hi to Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, Rosemary. Good evening.
So we're on a deadline now, right? Da-da-da-da. We're fast approaching the end of March. And in fact, some of you watching are already into April. If we go to Australia, for instance, and if we go to other countries, you're already past March. March is come and gone. But for us here, we're fast approaching, we've got, what is it, 4 more hours or 5 more hours or something, and ding, 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 midnight, and then it is April the 1st, April Fool's Day. So, I've got a lot to celebrate in April. My daughter's birthday is on the 7th of April. Let me see what else. Oh, Easter is in April this year too. And it's a late Easter. But I've got some great news, great things to look forward to, because my grandson and my daughter are coming for Easter, bringing Apache, their little puppy. And so now I have to plan the Easter hunt. And make it really worthwhile. Try and make it better than it was last year, which was a really good Easter hunt last year. Now, so let's see. Chris and I were talking before the show, and we were talking about different places, people that we know well, people that we don't know so well, people that we thought we knew. When I was in Vermont, I can remember I knew so many people in that area, and I had lots of students who would come every Friday, and they'd be there at weekends if we were doing an event at the farm, and the amount of times I would say to people, I'm free this during the week, or if you want to go out to the movies or something, just give me a call. And no one ever called me. It was like, it was like they came on Friday night, got their lesson and cleared off. Now, that's not everybody. Of course, Chris was amongst that number, and here she still is. My lovely friend Karen is also still around and making a nuisance of herself. Well, she's actually not really a nuisance. She's lovely. And she's coming. I haven't seen Karen for 2.5 years, so she's coming in May for my birthday. Yippee! So lots and lots of things to look forward to. Fair weather friends, and friends who are there for us when we least expect it. But friends or people we think of as friends, and then when something happens in our lives or circumstances change in our lives, they sort of disappear on us. It's as if, they don't want to get involved in any of our grief or pain or any of our struggles. They just disappear, seemingly for no reason. And Chris and I were saying today, is it us, right, Chris? Is it me?
Sometimes it makes you think that.
Is it me? Did I say something and did I do something, or is it me? Am I the reason why no one invites me anyway? I'm going to burst into tears in a minute. Not really, but you know what I'm saying, don't you? All of you out there, I'm sure you've had some sort of semblance of that. One minute you have a friend and you have friendships, and the next minute they just disappeared on you. Out just gone out into the universe, disappeared on you. It's almost as if, okay, I don't need you anymore, so I'm good now. And getting off of that miserable topic, I was thinking also, Chris asked me tonight before we came on the show, where is the best place in the world that I've ever been to? And people ask me this a lot because I've been so fortunate that I have traveled all over the world. I've been to many of the islands of Greece, which are phenomenal. So, see, when you think of the best places to be, the Greek islands, the Greek food, the Mediterranean Sea, the warm sunshine, the people. Oh, you go on and on about that. And then we go to an opposite kind of a place. Let's go to Hong Kong, where there's hustle and bustle and everybody's moving at a fast pace, and rarely does anybody stop and smile at you or speak to you. It's a hustle and bustle place. But the food is really great if you know where to go and if you know what to eat and you know what to order. The food there is fantastic. And the atmosphere is just phenomenal. It's just and the shopping is fabulous. Then we go to, let's see, Australia. I've been all over Australia. I've been to New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand. Everybody loves the Kiwis, don't they? I love New Zealand because they're such a friendly bunch. And I think also New Zealand is probably one of the closest countries that we can ever get to being so like the Brits. Not the indigenous people, but the people who have sort of over the years migrated there or found themselves there for whatever reason. But I had the most amazing experience with some of the Maoris who came to see me in Australia, the Aborigines. I mean, in every country in the world, I can honestly say that I have been really touched by something that happened, some wonderful thing, wonderful experience, whether it's a spiritual experience or not. Thinking about Egypt and going into the pyramids. Am I making you all jealous with all of my travels and so on? And you should be jealous because I have to admit, I've had the most phenomenal life, and I've met some amazing people, really wonderful, wonderful people. We're looking at Italy, we're looking at France, we're looking at not so much France actually, but still, although the south of France is beautiful. Let me see, where else have I had?
Canada.
In Spain. Well, Canada goes without saying. Yes, Canada, America, and of course my own fabulous and wonderful homeland, which I still, for all of my visits all over the world, I still think that my own country is the best. Not the politicians, not necessarily the laws and so on and so forth, but the people in my country. And I'm counting the whole of the British Isles. The people are just, of course, you get the odd misery from time to time, don't you, wherever you go, but the people in my homeland are the best and the most phenomenal. And and again, when we're talking about people sort of standing up and being there for you, that's what, in my country, that's what we do the best. I think we are the best at that because we're a small island, and we've always grown up sort of being close to our neighbours, and always sort of neighbouring is part of what we do, and helping neighbours out is part of what we do. And so there is this amazing thing with Brits. If something happens, they're the ones who are right there for you and right there with you. Phenomenal. They're great. Anyway, so I know, Chris, you've traveled to a few different places as well when Mike was in the Air Force, right?
Yeah, we were stationed, well, I should say we honeymooned in Niagara Falls. That was the first base that I went to. We were in places in New Mexico, and then a couple places in England, a couple places in Germany, Hawaii.
Yes, I was just going to say you came with me to Hawaii once, but I know you went there with Mike much earlier on. and that's an amazing I mean, you could, every country has its own fabulous sort of experiences. Singapore, and I'm trying to think of some of the sort of the
Switzerland was lovely. Oh, I loved traveling there. It's gorgeous.
and very clean, very, very clean. Yeah, I mean, just, yeah, and on we can go. Aren't we lucky? Because you do know, Chris, well, we're traveling the world in our memories, in our minds. You do know that there are so many people who have never left their hometown, never even left their own town or village, let alone gone traveling all over the world. But, uh, I think that when you travel and you see other people and you experience for yourself other people's cultures and the way people live and the way people think, and it's amazing that there are so many differences between us all. There are so many differences in our cultures, in our way of thinking, in the way that we've been brought up to think. But at the same time, you know, we're all the same in some ways, aren't we?
We definitely are. And, with all the countries that you've mentioned here thus far, we have a lot of people logged in. And early on, Laura May says she's from Byron Bay, Australia. Have you ever been there?
I might have been. I might have been. I travelled. I've been twice to Australia and New Zealand. Doesn't sound like a lot of times, but um, when I went there, I was there for a while, and I went all over the place. I was on a plane, off a plane, in a radio studio, back on a plane, and back somewhere else, and off somewhere else. And I went to so many different places, and we went to a great little seaside place, and I don't even remember where it was now, and I certainly don't remember the name of the town, but it could have been yours, where they had great fish and chips, just like the Brits fish and chips. Not quite, but pretty good. We sat on a pebbled beach and ate our fish and chips. I mean, we sort of. I've been to so many places. It's hard for me to remember most of the places that I've been to. And instead of course, keeping a diary or putting a pin in a map, it just goes whizzing over my head. So, people when they come from Italy. Have you ever been to this town? Have you ever been? The chances are yes, I have, but I don't always remember the towns. What I remember most are the fabulous people and the experiences that I have, and the amazing workshops and lecture halls that I've been to, and I remember those quite clearly. I may not be able to say quite in which part of the country or even in which part of the world they were, but one of my saddest visits was when I went to South Africa, and I had a very up and down visit there, which we'll talk about perhaps another time. But I did have a great time, but I did have an awful time at the same. Can you do that? You can, can't you? You can have awful experiences and still have a great time. But South Africa, I've been to South Africa a couple of times, and it's an amazing country. And I actually got to hear Mandela. He
Nelson
came to
Mandela.
Yeah, he came to the group that I was with,
Oh,
and
wow.
spoke to us, and I was sort of standing very, very, very close to, or sitting very, very close to him as he was talking to us. This was when he very first was freed. Yeah, so that was an experience. See, we so many amazing experiences that we have. Yeah.
Laura's asking, have you been to Bali?
I have never been to Bali, but anybody who'd like to invite me there, I'm hot foot to go to Bali because it's one of the places I'd really like to go to. Yes, I'd like to sort of go swimming in one of those fabulous lagoons or whatever it is they do there. Yeah, I can imagine myself doing that, going there. So anyone who wants me to come and lecture there, let me do workshops there, anything at all like that, I am your girl, definitely. Are you on board, Chris?
I was just going to say, you need somebody to bring your luggage, don't you?
I need someone to organise it all for me. So,
Yeah, there we go. Denise is on, and
hi, Denise.
I want to think She said the Netherlands, and I'm scrolling back where, but somewhere in that general area. And she's got a question for you.
Okay.
So, my mother, is she with me? My birth mother. I miss her more than ever now with my divorce, and it hurts so much.
Oh, Denise, I wish I could just sort of come and give you big hugs because I know what it's like, divorces and relationship issues and all of that stuff, and it's such a rotten thing to have to go through for anyone. But yes, I'm pretty sure that she's right there by your side, my darling. Yes, absolutely. Keep going, Chris.
Violet's asking,
Hi.
um, in A Christmas Carol, Scrooge is taken by the ghost of Christmas past to his own past. When we cross over, do we get to revisit moments from our own lives?
Yeah, I think that's, oh, I like that question, Violet. You always come up with such good questions. And I'm going to call you after this to see how you're doing, by the way. And anyway, um, moving forward, yes, I think that, you know how people do say that when we pass, our lives do sort of flash before us. And I think that we do get the opportunity to see uh, the things that we've done here, the kind of person that we've been, some of the experiences that we've had, the relationships that we've had with people. And I do feel that it's sort of, we get the opportunity to take a look back and to see who we were, what we were like, how we were. We won't like it very much, will we? Some of it, because none of us has been perfect by any means. But yes, we do, I do believe that we do get to see and to regret many things, but to also, I'm hoping that we also are pleased with the way we have been, the way we've treated our children, and the way we've treated each other. I think, you know, we have many proud moments also. But yes, we do get to revisit. Yes.
Now, Gray Eagle kind of got, I don't want to say stuck in a small part of the world while he was here.
Stuck?
Well, he couldn't hop on a plane like you and go to Australia and Italy
Ah,
and New
I
Zealand and all those, right?
see where you're going with this one. Yes.
So, what was his most favorite place?
Okay, here's what I'm going to say to you. Many, many, many years ago, a very well-known reporter was invited to go to speak to the grandfathers of the Hopi tribe, which is somewhere around, where is it? The Grand Canyon area. Uh, and um, and one of the questions, so you know, the reporter was very honored because at this point in time, the Hopis had not invited other people. Like many Native American tribes, they do not invite you in. If they invite you in, especially as a Western person, if you're not part of their culture, they do not invite you in, uh, you know, easily. And I have been one of those who was invited into um, uh, an amazing place. A Native American tribe invited me to come and speak with all of them. Anyway, getting back to the Hopi, so the guy, the reporter, obviously had all of his questions written out, ready, and one of the questions he asked this the Hopi grandfather was, so what do you think of our modern world, and what do you think about a man building a rocket that takes him to the moon? And the grandfather smiled and he replied, are you ready, Chris? Why would you build a machine to take you to the moon when you can easily go to the moon without using anything other than who you are? See? You say they're stuck. I'm saying to you, if I want to travel to the moon tonight, I can travel to the moon tonight. It's more than astral traveling. It's much, much more than that. But uh, I'm going to give you Grey Eagle's answer. Don't limit my life based on your own limited life. There you have it. That's the answer you're getting there.
All right. Laura May is saying, I'd love to know if my mother-in-law, Julie, has any messages for any of us.
No, this is an off the cuff. So, as Laura, as much as I would like to sit and do this for you all night long, it's a very short show. We're not giving messages tonight, but please don't. I hope you didn't come on just to get just on the off chance of getting a message, because you never know. I'll say we're not doing anything, and then Gregor will change his mind at the last minute for somebody or another. So, but at this moment in time, there are no plans for doing that. This is off the cuff. We can talk about anything and everything we like, and we're not just going to get stuck into that one area or that one theme. Chris, keep going.
Susan's commenting once she heard that Laura was from Byron Bay. She's mentioning I spent Christmas of 1972 in Byron Bay. At that time, I was living and working in Canberra at the then new International Hotel.
Oh, I've been to Canberra. So I might have been to Byron Bay. How is it spelled? Is it spelled with a Y or an I?
Byron.
Okay, I might have been there. Yes. Good. Well, we're getting interaction here then. Did you have a fabulous Christmas, Susan? Is what I want to know.
Yeah, I think if people can start putting their questions into the chat room, because as long as you have questions, we stay on.
And the minute the questions dry up, that's it. We're done. We're going to quit. Right, Chris?
Yes. And I know some people, let's say they're a little bit shy to put in a question. They don't think their question might be as important enough or something to that effect. There is no limit to the questions here about subjects.
We don't care what question you ask. If you ask a question, I don't want to answer it. I'll just say to you very nicely and sweetly at this moment in time, no, but don't let that stop you from asking again. Anything, you may think it's a small thing or unimportant. You may think your question is unimportant, but nothing is unimportant to us. We love to hear from you regardless.
Rhonda says, my favorite place is Florence, Oregon. So right here in the States. It's so beautiful and green.
Oh, really? All right. Oregon.
It must be on the west part of Oregon, because I know the east part is more drought and brown and dry.
I'm wondering if I've ever been to Oregon. Where is it close to?
Consider the top left where Washington State is. It's the state below that.
Oh, then I may well have been there. Or at least traveled through it. Keep going.
Have you been to India? Denise is asking.
No, I've been invited to India so many times over the years, and for some reason or another, never managed to to get there. But it certainly is a place I'd like to visit. So yes, yes. I mean, I'll go anywhere. I'm not shy about going anywhere at all.
Judith says she always wanted to go to Egypt. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
Betta's saying, it's night here in Italy, but I'm not sleeping yet, so I'm saying hello.
Must be 12 o'clock, midnight, or even 1 in the morning in Italy. I think they're 6 hours ahead of us. I know that England is 5 hours ahead of us. So stay awake better. We hope you're enjoying the show. Don't go to sleep yet.
And our friend Jillian from, I think it was Nova Scotia, Canada, is on saying hello.
Hi, Jillian. How are you? Let us know. Is it cold up there? When you say Nova Scotia, it sort of has that feeling of being, and I don't know if this is true or not, but my feeling when people say Nova Scotia, I think of it as being really far north and, almost Arctic in its. Am I wrong about that? If I am, let me know.
Yeah, it's just a little bit north of Maine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was further north.
Because Maine borders Canada, and it's in that part. It's on the eastern part of Canada.
Oh, right.
Laura wants to know, I've learned that multiple timelines exist at once. I'd love to hear Gray Eagles and your explanation of this.
You're going to have to be more definitive. There are multiple timelines that exist because we just said in Australia it's tomorrow. There are multiple lines that exist here on this earth. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I'm not quite sure where you're going with this, but uh, maybe you sort of give us a clearer explanation of what the question is. I'd answer it. Isn't it amazing? We're sitting here. It's what is it here? It's like 7:15 where I am in Florida. It's still light, a little bit darker than it was yesterday at this time, because it sort of looks a bit stormy and a bit rainy. But that when you sort of you think that in England, all my friends are sort of snuggling down into bed, or they're staying up late and watching a late night movie or something, but it's so much later for them. It's hard for us sometimes, isn't it, to equate timelines and where people are. And of course, if we look at California, they're 3 hours back from us. Then their evening has barely started. So yeah.
Lori's on from Canada saying she helped with a little calf today that almost died, but with
Oh.
your lessons, she sent prayers and energy to it and is hoping for the best. Um, she hopes the calf will pull through.
Oh, right. Oh, how did you help? What did you do? Where were you? What happened that you were helping with this? We want all of these questions and more. We want them answered. And you have to let us know how this little calf is doing, because even as I'm talking about this little thing, I'm sending out all my healing energy towards it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, how thrilling. How thrilling.
Lorraine says Sedona, Arizona is so beautiful. Red rocks, gorgeous scenery. There are spiritual vortexes in that area and it feels wonderful and magical.
You better believe it. Sedona is one of my favorite places. Phoenix and Sedona and all the way up in there. Of course, we're now sort of going into Apache country. It is without a doubt. I can remember the first time we drove. I was with a friend and we drove into Arizona and then up into Sedona, and that first view that you get as you're driving through, you can't really describe it to anybody. It's just impossible to describe it. The feeling that you get, and the majesty of those enormous red rocks rising up into the sky. It's a heart-stopping and breathtaking area to be in. And if any of you listening haven't been yet, put it on your wish list of a place to go to, because it's beautiful. And when you go up, Sedona's a little bit higher up there than Phoenix is. The sky is unbelievable. The stars and the skyline is just brilliant there. I have to say, I agree. It's one of my favorite places to be. Oh, I haven't been for ages. I feel like we should pack our bags and start traveling somewhere, Chris. If only
Road
we had
trip,
if only we had these invitations, we'd go visiting all over the place, wouldn't we?
definitely. Sandra says 2 times in 1 day. Hooray and thank you.
Yes. Well, it's easier than doing it tomorrow, because then I'd have to do not that I'd have to wear a lot of makeup. I only wear makeup on my eyes. Uh, but when I put my makeup on in the morning, this is it. It stays like this. I've not touched it up. Have I put more lipstick on? I might have touched my lipstick up, but this is it. And so why not when and I'm still wearing the same top that I wore this morning, which is not like me at all, but there we are. What can I say? And yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to be here 2 times in a day. Chris, how about you? Are you happy to be here 2 times in a day?
Absolutely. I mean, every time someone asks a question, I learn something. So it's great for me.
Good.
Barb is saying 2 things. How did you get your name of Mosey? And at what point do we meet God? Also, I love joining you in prayer. Hope we can do more of that.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to be doing more healing work. And maybe that's what we should be doing in April, Chris. Maybe a couple of times a week we should be doing our healing prayers. So watch for that when we do that. Now, let me see the question. How did I get the name of Mosey? It's very simple and easy. When I was young, I fell in love. No, that's not how I got the name. But when I was young, I had a friend, and she had a little boy. At this point in my life, I'd had already, I think, at that point, about 3 miscarriages, and then I had another one. Anyway, my neighbor who lived a couple of houses up from me, she had a little boy. She had a baby, and I can remember, despite the fact that I had just gone through my difficult time, she was having her baby. So I remember going in every day, several times a day, to help her with her baby. She had her baby at home, and she had a lovely midwife, and it was a way of me sort of working through my difficult time. Anyway, this little baby grew, got to be about 2 years old or 3 years old, something like that, and he could not say the name Rosemary. At this time also, I was taking care of a neighbour's little girl who also could not say the name Rosemary. So between the two of them, it sort of jumbled into Mosey, and Mosenry is one of the things kids often say my name, and they say Mosenry. Anyway, so it got to be Mosey. So between them, then the neighborhood kids all just started calling me Mosey, because it was easy for them to call me Mosey, especially as at this time the neighborhood kids were sort of 2, 3, and 4 years old, and Rosemary's a hard name to figure out. So that's how I got the name. Now, years passed, many years passed, but when my daughter was carrying my grandson, we were talking about what, do you want to be known as grandma or nana, or the different, all sorts of different things, aren't there, that we call our grandparents. And it just came to me, and I said, I'd like him to call me Mosey. And he's the only one allowed to call me Mosey now. No one else is allowed to call me Mosey, although some of Samantha's friends do. They walk through the door and say, "Hi, Mosey." I'm not Mosey to you. I'm Mosey just to my grandson. That's just his name for me. So we just share that name. So that's how that came to be. When do we meet God? Well, I'm going to ask you a question. And as I ask you this question, I want you to look into your heart and ask yourself this same question. Haven't you already met God? Because I think I meet God pretty much on a daily basis, one way or another. And, God is in us. God is all around us. God is that universal force that builds us and helps us and teaches us and carries us and inspires us. So I've already met God. I think you might have too, if you think about it very hard. Chris.
All right. Valerie says, I've thought it would bring joy to teach people how to enjoy the multi abilities that many of us are lucky enough to be experiencing, but I don't know the how of many things that just happen in my experiences. Can you comment on not knowing the how?
I think in order to answer this question more fully, I'd need to know what are the situations you find yourself in when you don't know the how of it. I think that this is why the best teachers are those who are teaching from their own experiences, because when you've had your own experience and when you've experienced something like this, then you not only know how, you feel it. So when you can always tell when someone is talking about something that they have experienced themselves, or when they're just talking about I read a book and it said this to me or that to me, you know, that sort of thing. I think that when we're teaching others, we have to be very clear in and being honest and saying to our students, if we've had the experience, telling them what our experience is, also saying to them that the how of it, the how of my experience might be very different than somebody else's how of their experience. Even if we seem to have had the same experience, we absorb it differently. And I think that we also have to be very, very careful with our students to say to them, this is not something if it isn't something you've had experience of, this is not something I've had an experience of. So I can't tell you quite how it happens, but I can only tell you how I feel about it when I read it or when I hear somebody else talking about it. So the how of anything at all is based, the how of, how do you make a cake? How do you do anything at all with any confidence? Because you did it, because you've done it, you've experienced it, you've either done it or you've experienced it through someone else doing it to you, whatever it is. But I think that, being honest with people and saying, I've never had this experience myself, so I don't quite know how it works, but I do know that it does work because I've heard somebody say this and somebody I trust say that, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if that helps you at all. But never be afraid. I'm never afraid to say to somebody, these three words, we should all, as we're teaching, whether it's we're teaching our children, whether we're teaching our grandchildren, whether it's teaching our students, whatever it is, never be afraid to say these three words: I don't know. Now, you can say on top of that, I don't know, but I'll try and find out. Or, I don't know, and I don't think I'll ever know because I don't think I'm going to get an opportunity to discover how it works or why this is. But be honest and say, if you don't know, and with your kids, say, I'll often say to my grandson, I don't know, but why don't we check it out together? Let's look at how that is together. We're doing words at the moment. I gave you a word. I think it was our last off the cuff, and I asked anybody who knew what the word oligarch meant, right, without looking in the dictionary, without looking it up, without anything at all. Can you tell me what it means or what you think it might mean? And I gave that word to my grandson, and now he sort of has used it 2 or 3 times. I did have another word for you, and I've written it down, and now I've forgotten what it is. But if any of you out there have a word that is not perhaps often used, we'd love to hear it, and we'd love to know what the definition is. Or you can try it out on us and see if we know the definition, right, Chris?
Absolutely. All right. Well, Laura's clarifying the question she asked earlier. With every choice we make, there are different paths that we can choose. So even if we choose one path or make a certain choice, do the other potentials play out in a different reality or timeline?
No, not necessarily. I see where you're going with this question. I think I see where you're going with this question. So no. In other words, we make a choice to do this, but is there some part of our universe or our part in the universe that sort of lives those other choices, or the other potential for other choices? And the answer is no, I think. Yes, it's no.
Rhonda, okay. Rhonda says, I haven't been to Sedona, but it's always been on my list of places to go.
Well,
And
Rhonda, if you want someone to carry your suitcases for you, it won't be me, because I don't carry suitcases. I try not to carry my own whenever possible. But Chris will always carry suitcases, won't you, Chris?
Thank
But
you for that. I'll be
well,
the
I don't
pack
know.
rat.
Hey, I'm not saying I wouldn't go along. I'm not saying I wouldn't journey with you guys, but I'm expecting if I'm going along, I need someone to carry my cases for me. I'm an
Well,
old lady now.
we
I
can't have
can't
your back hurting, that's for sure.
I can't I can't carry my own cases.
Betta's wondering which part of Italy do you prefer,
Oh,
north or south, and have you a special town in your heart?
oh golly. That's that's a that's an unfair question because whatever I say, I'm going to offend somebody. Um, there, yes, there is. Well, yes and no. Uh, Rome is amazing because of you've got all of those incredible fountains. For instance, you've got all of the history there. You've got the Sistine Chapel. You've got all of these things to see. But oh golly, there. Uh, Yes, Olivetti or Oliveto. I can't remember now how you pronounce it, but that's my favorite place. How about that? The fabulous cathedral that stands there, the amazing food. Anyway, it's a great place. On and on I can go, and I love Sicily too. The people think the food in Italy and Sicily are the same. Boy, oh boy, they are not at all. So let's not offend the Sicilians by saying that their food is like Italy's and vice versa, because it's very, very different. And Sicily is wonderful. The people in Sicily are fabulous. They're really wonderful people. And on and on and on I can go. Keep going, Chris.
Judith likes the word penchant.
How you tell me? Are you saying what are you
P
saying?
Penchant.
Penca?
Chant.
Oh, okay. Penchant. You have a penchant for or a liking for? Yes.
There you go.
There you are. Blow your kiss. You can get a prize. There you are. That's your prize. A penchant for, or a penchant for. If you're French, that's how you say it. A penchant. I have a penchant for. I have a liking for something. How'd that
Eric,
do?
you did well. Eric is still wondering about Singapore and he's ready to go.
The only problem with Singapore is that you get dressed for the day, right? And it doesn't matter how lightly you dress. It's a fabulous place and the people are fabulous. The food is amazing. But you need to pack in your bag somehow or another, if you can, at least one more change of clothes because within an hour, sometimes, of going out in Singapore, you are drenched, so it's very hot and steamy sometimes. So make sure you go at the right time of year. But I had a spectacular experience in Singapore. I got into an elevator, and in English, it said on the side in English, it said something like, um, "It is illegal to spit in this elevator." I've never
Oh,
seen that
goodness.
before. And they have this glorious park. It's a huge park, and they have restaurants all around the park, and they have these wooden tables and benches and everything. And you order your food, and they bring this big black pot out that's full of boiling water, and they stick it on top of like a little burner. And then through the night, they bring things for you to throw into the pot. Sometimes it's shrimp, sometimes it's uh, a bit of beef, sometimes it's whatever it is, a bit of chicken. I just throw these things into the pot, which when I say it's got water in it, of course it's got water and herbs and all sorts of things in it, and spices in there as well. Fabulous way of eating, really great experience. Okay, keep going.
Violet has 2 words for you,
Oh no.
both religious flavored. Uh, Parthenogenesis and transubstantiation.
Right. Thank you for those. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, come on, we need to know if you know any of those.
I do vaguely, yes, but I'll talk to you about them. Can we have a little, shorter, so I don't have to break them down? How much time do you think we've got tonight with this, Violet? But thank you so much, sweetie, for doing that to me. The first word, Parthon, was it? Parthenon?
Parthen, parthenogenesis.
I don't. Does it have anything to do with the Greek or a Greek religion? I don't know. You can tell us that. Or I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much. You can actually, this is the thing about words that I love. You can break them down into, sort of Latin, a Greek. There are three different ways that you can break down words. So you can, if you're really clever at it, which I'm not, but if you're really clever at it, you can find the derivative of each word, the meaning. You can sort of figure it out. Anyway, let's keep going.
Well,
Let's,
I have my dear Uncle Dan, who's 92, who speaks Latin fluently and Greek, and I don't know, he has 5 different languages. He could
but
break that down, and
he's a scholar, isn't he?
yeah, he
He's
definitely is.
and a religious scholar also. So
Yes.
yeah, so we'll ask him those. Thank you, Val, once again.
Laura wants to know
Oh no.
yours and Gray Eagle's thoughts on dreams.
Oh,
Sometimes I can remember them vividly and sometimes vaguely.
well, there are different types of dreams. I was talking to someone the other day who had what we call a precognitive dream, which is a dream which can tell us of, or give us a warning of, or tell us something of our future. And very often, if we have a precognitive dream, it's very often something that's come from the spirit world, or something that's come from someone in the spirit world who loves us, trying to let us know, or trying to give us an indication or a little warning of something that's going to happen to us. Not necessarily bad, sometimes good, but precognitive dreams are fairly common actually. Then we also have the dreams of, how you sort of got things on your mind, you're going through legal issues, or you're starting a new job or something, and those kinds of dreams can wear you out, because they're the dreams of all the thoughts and all the ideas and all the stuff that's going on in our head, which is sort of a way of, I think, our brain trying to assess and trying to sort them out, trying to sort out the jumble. And then, of course, we have those dreams which are not dreams at all, but they are visits from our loved ones in the spirit world. And on and on and on we can go about dreams. But we're not going to. Chris, keep going.
Lori's answering your comment about oligarchs and came up with oligarchs are too much money and snub their noses at the people who work to support the economy.
No, that's not true at all. Uh, oh gosh, well, that might be some kind of an oligarch. Maybe there are some oligarchs who are like that, but there are some who basically the word, I think, is Russian, or comes from Russia, and when you talk about an oligarch, and especially a Russian oligarch, you're probably talking about mob bosses or mafia, or not necessarily criminal, but leaders of big organizations. But they are generally, an oligarch is a very powerful and often feared leader. There you go. So I don't think they look down their noses at, but they are people who, generally speaking, do have more money than they know what to do with. And not everybody who's wealthy looks down their nose at those of us who are not so wealthy. You know that? Chris,
Nancy says, I wondered what that word meant, so thank you.
you're very welcome.
Violet saying transubstantiation is interesting. It's the
Yes.
Catholic belief that bread and wine actually transform into flesh and blood of Christ.
Well, they believe it. So who are we to say that it doesn't happen? I think it's more of something that we let's say, conjure in our mind, and you know that our thoughts are the most powerful things that we have. So I think it's the idea of, I'm not sure that it's that anyone actually believes that as we're swallowing down that bit of bread, drinking that bit of wine, that we're actually swallowing the flesh and the blood of Christ. It's much more about the symbolism of. Violet, don't tell me that people do actually believe that they're eating Christ as they're doing that. I hope I'm not offended anyone by saying that, but I can't, I mean, it's much more about the, the symbolism of it, which I think is important to many people.
Violet also said it was the Virgin Mary getting up the duff by a god. Maybe that applied to the first word?
Getting up the duff. That's such a British phrase. And for those of you who don't know what it means, you must have figured it out by now. If such a crude expression, Violet, but if you're up the duff, it means that you are pregnant. That's what that means. Have you ever heard that expression, Chris?
I have not, and I was trying to come up with some ideas of what that might mean.
You think about the Virgin Mary. She got up the duff with some god or another. I think that's what he said, or that's how he put it. But if you're up the duff, it means you're well and truly having a baby. It's such a crude way to say something. It's not rude or anything. It's just, one of those things that we say. Oh, Violet, we are so enjoying you being on tonight. Keep coming. Keep coming.
Laura says, I love your accent. My nan has the same. I was born in Chesterfield, UK. Are you
right.
from near there?
Not far away. Chesterfield is sort of more north. I was born in the city of Leicester, which is right bang in the centre of the country. Shall we say the heart of the country? I was born in the heart of the country. Makes sense to me. But Chesterfield is beautiful on the outskirts of Chesterfield and Yorkshire. It sort of borders on the Yorkshire border, somewhere there. Go on, all you Brits who are listening. Tell me I've got it wrong. I'm happy if you tell me I've got it wrong. But it's anyway. It is. They have some. Beautiful areas, very scenic areas there. Yes, Chris.
Have you been to Stonehenge?
Yes, I have been to Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge a few times actually, and it's a very interesting place. Of course, now they've cordoned it off and people are not allowed to go there anymore. But when I lived there, I don't know when they did cordon it off, how long ago it was, but you could just go. It was an open space with all these, beautiful monoliths, these beautiful stones, sort of, some of them you look and you think, how did they get to be able to stand there like that? And they are in a sort of a circle. It is a very mystical place. And you could go and walk and touch the stones. You could go in and out. You could go right into the center of the place and nobody would ever stop you. But now I do believe, maybe it's because of the danger, so many people, so many tourists are going there. I do believe they've cordoned it off and you're only allowed to look at it now from afar. Unless you're one of those like me, because I would, in fact, sneak under the barrier and go in there. But there is a definite mystical sense of the place. It's an amazing place, yes.
Did you want to talk about Ley Line since you're sort of talking about mystical or power places?
Well, I was just talking about Stonehenge and the Druids, the Druids had their rites and rituals, and one of the most amazing things, if we're talking about ley lines, let's first of all talk about what is a ley line, and if you could visualize this world of ours, and all around and all the way through this world of ours, there's a grid. Let's say that let's call it a grid. There are lines that go around, they cross, they go side by side, they intersect, they do, and these ley lines are not visible to the human eye, but they are very, very much about energy. Now, we talk about energy all the time, and energy, everything is energy, and everything of this world, everything of this universe it's all about energy. And ley lines are those, um, let's say, they are paths of energy that run all the way through and all the way around this earth of ours. Now, years and years ago, when people were able to know, there were people who were able to spot ley lines or to sense ley lines or to even, with if you're using a pendulum, you can even find ley lines using a pendulum. Again, it's all about energy and energy connecting with energy. And so if you look at it, go back into ancient times when they started to build their churches and their places of worship and so on, you will find that wherever there's a church, you'll find somewhere nearby there's a river or a stream of water running through, not through the church, alongside. You will find that when people built things, they were very, very careful not to build across a ley line, on top of a ley line, because ley lines, again, if you think about energy, and these ley lines are pure energy, they're beautiful energy. And if we, by building as we do these days, willy-nilly, we put anything anywhere, we don't even think twice about it, we're putting buildings on ley lines, we're putting stuff on top of what I would consider to be sacred lines of energy that should not be disrupted or disturbed. And when you look at the world as it is today, and you look at all of the traumas and the upsets and the wars and the angst and the anger and so on and so forth, it is no wonder that the world is in chaos, because without any thought for anything spiritual or any thought for anything about what we're doing. People get greedy, so they sell land and the builders stuff on it, and nobody thinks twice about whether or not we should pay attention to what we're building, where we're building it, how we're building it. And so consequently, our world is in chaos because the ley lines have been disrupted, they've been disturbed, they've had things put across them, energy's been diverted, and sometimes energy's been forced down into the earth. And when we look at it like that, if we think of here is our world, this beautiful world of ours, and inhabited by men and women who, first of all lived in caves, and then of course they came out. But years and years ago, if we go back to ancient times, people were very, very aware of where they should build, how they should build, how they should treat this earth of ours, how they should treat the land, how respectful they should be, and so on and so forth. And that's gone. It's pretty much gone. Now nobody cares anymore. It's just all about, let's put something wherever we can, build wherever we can, and then we all wonder why there's so much disruption and disharmony within the world. And what we've done, often inadvertently, what we've done is we have disrupted the energy of this earth of ours to the extent where the world is often in chaos. And we've done it. Not me personally, you know what I'm saying. We, as human beings, we've allowed our excitement at growth, our greed at growth. We've allowed, more. Let's have more houses and even more houses. Let's put more houses up. And why don't we do more houses? And we've allowed, our the ability to just build anywhere and not treasure the land and not treasure the energy that's around us. And we've allowed that to take over. Consequently, it's not a bit of a surprise to me, and it shouldn't be a bit of a surprise to anybody who understands ley lines. The world is in chaos, and this is why, because we have created it. We have disrupted, so badly disrupted, the natural energy of this earth of ours, to the point where, nobody knows what they're doing anymore. How does that sound, Chris?
Well, what you say doesn't sound great. I just wanted to make you aware of the time. It's 8 o'clock. Jillian's got a follow-up question. Would
Go.
ley lines be in the sky as well? Would they have any particular color associated with them?
Um, that's a very interesting question. I've never thought about it, but I'm sure that we're talking about paths of energy. We're talking about paths crossing paths. When Gray was asked many years ago, could he describe the universe of ours, this universe of ours, he described it by saying it is like holes in a cheese. And if you look at the cheeses like an Emmenthal cheese, or I'm thinking of, blue cheese that has hot wires pushed through and so on. If you look at a cheese, a big round ball of cheese, and cut it in half, and you see all of these, it's almost like paths going through, that's how our universe is. And so all of those paths that we travel through, when we pass into the spirit world, we pass through these certain paths, energy paths. They could be considered ley lines, absolutely. I don't know that they have a particular color, or I have no idea. But nothing is, we don't discount anything here. But just think about it, our universe, the universe that we live in, and the many, many universes that are out there. Some we know of, and some we can't even glimpse, because we haven't built a telescope big enough yet. But like holes in a cheese. How about that? That's a great, great thought to go to bed on, I think. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Chris. You've been fabulous once again. I'd like to say thank you to Great Eagle as well. That seemed to go really fast. That hour has gone so fast. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed it. We'll hope you will see you again on Saturday morning. Of course, we will have our usual 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will have our, whatever it is, our story time. So we invite you all to join us then for our story time, and I'm going to think of something a little on the spooky side. Have a great, great April Fool's Day tomorrow, everybody. And until I see you all again, thank you once again for joining us. Please have a very blessed rest of the night, and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.